Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Freedom Radio Hour. I'm your host, Adam Cruz, and I have my fantastic co-host here,
Eddie Nicholas. What up, beautiful people, and welcome to 91.6 FM, the heartbeat of Sedan. We're so glad that you chose to tune in with us today. Adam, what is going on in the world of music and news?
It's all about access, and deletions. We'll talk about that in a minute. First, we want to let our listeners and our viewers know that the Freedom Radio Hour is here, not only giving you fantastic music tonight, we're also here to be your number one source for music business news and trends from around the globe. Today we are talking about a huge snafu that is happening with Apple Music.
Snafu, I just love the way that word snafu, like it's something just that is just out of this world. What is this snafu?
Okay, so you know that when you, do you have an iTunes library? Or have you had it in the past?
I had one in the past.
Okay. So when you have an iTunes library, you put all your files in, your music files into a library where you can categorize and sort and look through the material, right? Well, did you know that in order for you to manage your library, you have to give Apple permission to access your hard drive on your computer? Why? Because when you buy a download, it's got to go somewhere. So when you buy something and you give them and you say download, you're giving them access to take the material downloaded from their service and drop it onto your your hard drive. But there was a big problem. There's a composer. His name is James Pinkstone. Mr. Pinkstone started to realize that something was happening with his files. They were missing. He was getting gaslit. If anybody knows that film.
Not gaslit, gaslight.
Gaslight.
Well, gaslit in that case.
I was right. Yeah, so he was getting gaslit, which is a reference to an old film where the person is made to feel a little bit crazy. Something is going on.
Something is going on.
But he or she is made to feel crazy. Anyway, Mr. Pinkstone says that he alleges that Apple conspired to delete more than 122 gigs of music from his hard drive, including original compositions. See, what happened was he started to notice these files started to go missing, and then he realized this snafu. When you have a library, or if you're signed up with Apple Music and you have an iCloud account, which is nowadays
it dumps everything into it.
Right. And if you're going to buy, say you buy another a track again or something like that, it needs to have the ability to replace the old file and put it with the new, which is what we all take for granted, this idea that when you download something, let's say you mess up the download and you try again, what it does is replace that file that it tried to download before, and you give it permission to do so. But in these times, what James Pinkstone and others have found...
I love that name. It sounds like something from the Flintstones cartoons. Pinkstone.
Exactly. Well, he was very furious to come to find out that Apple Music, basically, they were giving him mixed messages when he hit him up about the problem. One message was, this is a design feature. So in other words, it's part of the feature that we could go in and essentially delete anything on your hard drive because you give us permission by virtue of using our library. The other thing that they were alleging, the other message they gave to Mr. Pinkstone was that it was a technical glitch. Why do they have to change their story? Well, other users started to agree with Mr. Pinkstone and say they too have been experiencing deletions occurring in their library.
But not only that, let's go back to the first part of that story.
Okay.
Where they admitted to saying, oh yeah, well you gave us permission so we can go in and take what we want and delete what we want, and now all of a sudden they're coming back talking about it's a technical glitch.
Right. Well, here's the rub of the whole thing, which is exactly what you're getting to. You're alluding to the following. Mr. Pinkstone, his bottom line point is this. These days, when you feel like you have access, when you're giving other services access to your hard drive, it's basically taking your fragile, vulnerable little material on your hard drive, and it's creating a very fragile environment that you live in. So now you don't feel like anything is secure.
Well, anything. I've always said that. That's why I don't do banking online.
So you don't do online banking because of the security?
Because of security. I don't care how secure people think things are. This is the days of technology, and all it takes is one person to press one little button, and they can wipe out your whole
They really can.
history.
And the
you
thing-
know, even with those security blocks and all that stuff, even though this is a whole different story, but it still ties in because with Mr. Pinkstone, if there were some protections, his stuff would have never been touched.
Right. Or they wouldn't have had access to that kind of material, right?
They would have only had access to the material that they downloaded from their site.
So there's an interesting double-edged sword here. On the one hand, you can't really blame Apple, who you give access to. If you're a person that uses their service and you give them access to your hard drive, and something goes awry, in short, you do give them access. It's not like they came in and hacked your system. But on the other side of the coin, it doesn't mean that because you gave them access to put a product on your hard drive, it doesn't mean that you authorize them to overall delete files from your hard drive
and remove it. Yeah.
And then this is a broader conversation. The broader conversation to me is what is happening with security now. Basically, there's no security. That's how I feel.
None. It can't be.
Anyway, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about what's happening in streaming music. You know, SoundCloud had launched SoundCloud Go because they're trying to be like a Spotify now.
Well, they're all trying to get our dollars.
And they don't want it once. They want it every month.
Every month.
Well, now there was
that reoccurring fee.
There's this huge problem because there were major allegations made that they were beginning to delete all of the DJ mixes that have been uploaded over time on SoundCloud.
Well, but that's nothing new. But I guess we can come back to that later,
we'll talk
right?
about that in a minute. Where? Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
The heartbeat of Sedan. Boom, 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 boom.
Be right back.
Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
What up, beautiful people, and welcome back to 91.6 FM, the heartbeat of Sedan. I'm your host, Eddie Nicholas, and I'm here with my co-host, the one and only
Adam Cruz. And we're live and direct where? On the Freedom Radio Hour. We're your number one source for music business news and trends from around the globe. Last we broke, we were talking about the craziness that was happening with Apple Music. In short, Apple Music, if you have a library in the iTunes library system, you're essentially giving Apple rights to access your hard drive. But that is a slippery slope because now Apple, there are allegations against them that they have conspired to delete files from users' computers, like their entire hard drive worth of material.
And you know what? I don't think it's a conspiracy. I actually think it is a technical glitch within their system. I can't see them
taking the time out to target somebody. Right.
And
I agree. But all that to say is that James Pinkstone, which is the composer that really brought this story to light, his point is very valid, which is we're living in a state where we depend so heavily on technology, yet it's more and more fragile than ever before, because in his case, he had all of his material stored on iCloud, which is up on a server. But because you did that, at any point, Apple could go in and delete if there was some cause to do that through a technical glitch, for example. So Mr. Pinkstone has had his 122 gigs of material deleted, including original work. So that's a big problem because now our security is not really secure. It's very fragile. Now, here, what's the point of this story? I think there's a few things. One, if you do have an iCloud account, it is definitely advantageous for you if you have some sort of external hard drive.
I was getting ready to say that.
Or like some sort of flash stick or some...
Back it up.
Back it up. Because if that ever happens, at least you have some sort of backup where if by chance something goes awry online, at least you have it somewhere else. And we only learned that from producing and putting music and just being collectors of music. We both have had our computers or our external hard drives crash and we lose information. So it's always important to say, back it up.
Back it up, because I'm quite sure because I see two of them over there right now, and I got a couple at home, and I got what I carry in my pocket.
Because these things happen, you know? Anyway, moving forward, we were also talking about SoundCloud Go. SoundCloud was at first, historically speaking, was a haven for DJs, especially in house music. See, here at the Freedom Radio Hour, we like dance music, but we like it more soulful, a little bit slower in tempo. And we love to support DJs that play in that style. So on SoundCloud, when it came out, it was a heaven for DJs, especially people like me. You could do a mix, upload it to their server, share it with your friends, use social media and say, hey, here's my new mix, hit play, and you can enjoy the mix and you can leave a comment, right? But now, in the age of Spotify and Apple and Tidal, SoundCloud, not wanting to be left in the mix, decided they were going to convert themselves into a streaming service and became SoundCloud Go. They all offer the same kinds of things, except SoundCloud, because they were a heaven for DJs and such, they're having a big problem because there have been allegations made that SoundCloud has begun to delete DJ mixes from that very platform that made them popular.
But you know what? that's been happening. That's not something that just recently occurred. I guess that's something that has been brought to light. For, I would say, at least a year or so, SoundCloud has been removing DJ mixes.
Well, allegedly, yes.
No, not allegedly. They have been.
Well, here's the thing. The reason why I say that is because SoundCloud, because it got so big, the story, had to respond and say, we are not deleting DJ mixes.
Well, those mixes are being taken down by somebody.
Right. And we already know, if you could share your story, Eddie had original material on SoundCloud.
I did a song with Rashmir Mantry.
Shout out to Mantry.
Yeah, Mantry Records, called My Baby, The Best Thing. Well, I posted the mix onto my SoundCloud page.
Your own account.
My own account. Name, who was written by, blah, 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 all the credits. Didn't I get a nice little note from SoundCloud talking about your song is in violation of the copyrights of somebody, and they removed my song.
So I have questions.
And to this date, they have not put it back up.
Did they say it's who made? In other words, there was a takedown request issued. So who issued it? Does it tell you?
Well, from what I found out from one of the publishing companies.
Oh, that is Mantry Records is affiliated with?
That is Mantry Records is affiliated with. But again, that's something that we're still dealing with because my name is also attached to that.
Right. So in other words, the question becomes, in a situation where the record label releases a song by Eddie Nicholas entitled The Best Thing, the record label is Mantry Records in this case. Mantry uses his system to aggregate the song out to iTunes, Amazon, and so forth. By doing that, you create a stamp online, and any song that comes across with that best thing, like a Shazam that identifies the song, it will issue a takedown because you're not attached to Mantry. You're not Rashmir. According to the system, these are not people now. These are bots. These are technical systems it placed to deal with possible copyright infringement. And what they do is they err on the side of maybe. So they take it down and then they'll let you fight about bringing it back up. But in the age of SoundCloud trying to convert over to, say, a Spotify type service, they're having big problems because these mixes include a lot of original content that they don't have the rights to use. But like I said, SoundCloud did issue a response to this allegation to say we are not deleting DJ mixes. But I feel like, to your point, it is probably occurring. They're not admitting to it wholeheartedly, but the proof will be in the pudding over time because these DJ mixes, all of them are not cleared by the three major labels they have deals with: Sony, Warner Music Group, and UMG, Universal Music Group. So they have to figure out what they're going to do with that. I find it very fascinating when you have these services that get popularized by the DJ culture, and now they're turning their backs.
And then once they get popular, they boom. We're in the Matrix.
We are in the Matrix. It's crazy.
Yes.
Anyway, let's take another break. When we come back, we'll talk more about this music business news. Where?
91.6 FM, the heartbeat of Sedan. Boom, 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 boom.
Keep it locked.
Freedom Radio Hour.
And we're back live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM. You're deep in the zone right here at the Freedom Radio Hour. We're your number one source for music business news and trends from around the globe. This segment, I want to talk about what's happening in the video game. You know, and when I'm talking about videos, I mean YouTube. You know, for the longest time, YouTube has been like the biggest giant ever in terms of video content.
A juggernaut.
They are a juggernaut. That's a perfect word to describe them right now. Essentially, as you know, on YouTube, you can watch videos, you can listen to music with our album covered there so you can see it. And you could also have your user-generated content. So that means you and I, like we do here with Freedom Radio Hour, we post our episodes on our own channel, which is, by the way, youtube.com/Freedom Radio Hour. Little shameless plug. So basically, YouTube for the longest time has been a juggernaut, as you say. Well, others have realized how much money YouTube has been generating through ad-supported platforms, and they too have established themselves as a subscription-based service. So that's really interesting to see the evolution that is YouTube and video content. So nowadays you have other other companies that are looking at this and saying, well, we can do that too, which of course there's no surprise that this would be happening. So I want you to understand what happened. Last year, around maybe a little bit around this time, remember we reported that Deezer, which is one of the biggest streaming music outfits overseas, we don't really know about it here in the US, but overseas it was quite popular. They were preparing to become an IPO, a public company out that could be traded in the stock market. Well, they had to pull that because a lot of things that were happening, including reports that indicated that as an industry, the music business had no net growth. So in other words, it wasn't losing money and it wasn't making money. It was at that 0 point, no net growth. So shortly after that news was published, Deezer pulled out of their efforts to try to become an IPO, initial public offering. But in December of last year, what I didn't know until now was that Facebook bought Deezer. So what Facebook's trying to do now, check this out. Facebook is trying to become like a
Get
YouTube.
ready for a new app from Facebook on your page, and they're gonna make you get it.
And they're gonna have access to all your personal stuff. So Facebook is launching a video service. Just like, as you notice over time this year, Facebook has allowed you to do live broadcasts,
Which I absolutely love.
I love it too. What makes you love it?
Oh, because it's immediate.
I love that it's immediate, and I love that I'm getting a lot of traction. When I look at the numbers, I'm getting several hundred views just from a few moments of broadcasting. So I love that aspect. And it doesn't take up video space on my phone because
No.
I'm like tapped out of space, but I could still do live broadcasts.
But you know what? It's all uploaded to Facebook.
That's right.
And Facebook has already made it valid where they would indiscriminately go and use whatever footage you post up onto their
Right,
page.
because by being a member of Facebook, you automatically allow them
to have access.
so that they could exploit that content. So here's what's happening. Facebook has allowed now you to use their service for videos. But since there's a music problem, some of the music is not cleared, they at first only had like approved songs. So stuff, and in other words, Facebook purchased a set of like generic sounding music that you could create. The video service is called Slideshow. You could put a video up, and then you could also include music underneath it. But it was music that was already prepaid by Facebook, and so you as a user could use it for free. So that was then. Now they're trying to add more to this, and they've done deals now with major labels like Warner Music Group and others. And now you can choose certain songs from their catalog as the underbed for this. And so, not to be outdone, Amazon launched Amazon Prime, which was like a Netflix now.
They all try to get our dollars.
Every month they want it. So Amazon Prime launched, and they're doing really, really well. They're starting to get awards for all their original shows, like Transparent, which is a series about transgendered couple. So that's
And they're into movies now and all of that stuff
they're
too.
doing all that. They're doing all of that.
Amazon has come a long way from just selling books.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So Amazon, not to be outdone, has launched a service that's just like YouTube. You could upload your content. It's just like YouTube, and it's going to be available through their Prime service, and you could get royalties. So Amazon saying, we're going to put the music up, and you can generate royalties too. So now you be aware. You have YouTube. You have Facebook now, you have Amazon now. Everybody wants you to develop video content, and they want to make money from that.
And one of the places that we neglected to say, I know from personal that ASCAP, you can load your video material up directly to ASCAP.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So you can go, if you're a member of ASCAP, you can go to their page, and if you have videos and all that type of stuff, you can actually load your content up onto the ASCAP page. So
I love that.
Don't forget all of that too, especially those people that are members of ASCAP. I'm sure BMI has a service like that, and I'm sure CSAC probably has too, because CSAC is the one that pays out the best. So give us CSAC. Okay, I'm still trying.
All
Mad
right,
plug.
that's all the time we have for today. But we're going to talk more about this because I want to figure out what are our continuing plans for Eddie's Do You Want to Dance LP that will be coming out in September. And also we want to give some tips about how to best prepare for your artwork cover, how to compile the music, how to get your credits going, and more. We'll talk about that
And you know
in
what?
future
Also, before we
episodes.
go, how to get the word out.
Exactly. Exactly right.
So we'll see you again. Thanks for joining us, 91.6 FM, the heartbeat of Sedan.
Freedom
Peace.
Radio Hour. Have a great weekend and a great week ahead. See you next time. Peace.
This is Flora Cruz representing Mixtape Sessions, and you're listening to the sounds of my brother, Adam Cruz, live on the Freedom Radio Hour.
Hi, this is Louis Vega, representing Masters at Work, New Eureka Soul, Elements of Life and Vega Records. You're listening to the sounds of my man, Mr. Adam Cruz,